Restraint of a Rabbit, Lesson 3. Restraint of a rabbit is the proper restraint of a rabbit to ensure the animal's safety when being handled. And this is done to make sure that that rabbit is properly restrained for handling purposes while maintaining the least amount of stress on the rabbit as possible. A vet assistant or a vet tech in a vet clinic can properly restrain a rabbit. Step 1. Approach the rabbit calmly and quietly. Step 2. Scruff the rabbit with one hand while gently lifting the front end. Step 3. Your other hand will immediately reach under the hind limbs and hold them, not allowing those hind limbs to dangle. Step 4. Rest the rabbit's body on the arm with the hand holding the hind limbs. Step 5. The scruffing hold is released and the hand is moved to hold the rabbit's outside front leg. This slide properly demonstrates hand placement on a rabbit for restraint of a rabbit. On this slide, you can properly see different ways that a rabbit can be restrained. Notice in all of these pictures, the rabbit's hind end is properly restrained so that the rabbit is not nervous or anxious. Different methods for rabbit holding will also be taken into consideration when looking at the rabbit's age, the rabbit's size, and how fractious or comfortable that rabbit is with the person who is handling it. On this slide, it demonstrates on a rabbit proper places for venipuncture and for injections. Notice that for an intramuscular injection, you can look at the lumbar epaxial muscles. Blood sampling would be done in the saphenous vein on the right rear leg of that rabbit. The IM injection site would be on the quadricep muscles. An IV injection site can be sampled in the marginal ear vein. And for a subcutaneous injection site would be in the scruff of the neck of the rabbit, which is where we practiced using that location to restrain the rabbit. Today I will be properly demonstrating the restraint of a rabbit. You want to be really careful when you're restraining a rabbit, as when a rabbit is not handled properly can cause some pretty serious injury to the rabbit and can also hurt the handler themselves as well. One thing to keep in mind for the practicum for this vet science contest, it has you scruff the rabbit, and with a lot of rabbit breeds, especially the fur breeds like the mini Rex, when you scruff them you can cause damage to their coat. So you want to be really careful how long you scruff them and to only scruff them when absolutely necessary to prevent damage to the coat. So to demonstrate the proper restraint of a rabbit, I will approach the rabbit calmly and quietly. Remember, if you're really nervous, the animal is going to be able to sense that you're nervous and anxious. So approach them nice and quietly. Stay with the rear end of the animal and not the face if you can help it. Then you will scruff the rabbit with one hand. Right here at the base of the neck, you're going to scruff. With your other hand, so you're going to gently lift the rabbit's front end up, and with your other hand you're going to go back and you're going to reach under the hind limbs and hold them, not allowing those hind limbs to dangle. The second that you have the rear end held, that rabbit's going to be a lot more comfortable. You will then rest the rabbit on the arm, and once that animal is comfortable, you can take your arm that was scruffing the rabbit, reach down, and then you can hold those rabbits' front limbs, the outside of that front leg, to control that rabbit. And now you have properly restrained a rabbit. In summary, to restrain a rabbit, one must calmly approach the rabbit, scruff the rabbit with one hand while gently lifting the front end. The other hand will immediately reach under the hind limbs and hold them, not allowing the hind limbs to dangle. Rest the rabbit's body on the arm with the hand holding the hind limbs. And then the scruffing hold is released, and the hand is moved to hold the rabbit's outside front leg. In the rabbit industry as well, you may need to be able to flip a rabbit for the sake of veterinary procedures. The best way to do that is to have the rabbit facing you. You're going to take your dominant hand that you normally write with, and you will scruff the rabbit. You're going to take your least dominant hand, and you're going to put your hand on the rabbit's rump. Now, a lot of times too, they'll have you kind of hold onto the ears of the rabbit for stability. She is a lop rabbit, and with lop rabbits, we don't normally do that because you can damage the crown of a rabbit. I can do that with one ear, but not with two. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my hand on the rump of her. I'm not really lifting the rabbit up, I'm just kind of gliding her butt across the ground. And then I'm going to maintain my scruff hold on her. And when I do that, I'm going to lay her up against my arm. And here, as a vet, I can now, if the rabbit has sniffles and I need to check teeth, I can check teeth. I can look at toenails if there are any abscesses or ruptures or tumors or things wrong with the hocks like sore hocks. I can go ahead and have full access to this rabbit. My scruffing hold is still on the rabbit, but it's a very gentle hold. If she goes to move, I can go ahead and tighten my hold, but I'm definitely not too rough with her. And then when I go to pick her up, I'm going to reach across her hind limbs. I'm going to slowly roll her back forward, release the scruffing hold, and that's how you properly flip a rabbit.